So yeah, I'm gonna try to provide commentary as we go along, and obviously I'm kind of pretending that I haven't played this 1,000 times. So I'll try to approach it as if I'm playing it for the first time, and hopefully we do not encounter any bugs. At the back of my mind, I'm always a little nervous whenever I watch someone play. This UI, by the way, is taken directly from MIRC. I wonder how many people are old enough to like remember that or recognize that. And now we can walk around. Another thing that I'll mention is that we plan on doing a lot of work just still on the visuals, like in terms of the environment art and stuff. So right now, all of these houses, like every character's house looks the same on the inside, but we're going to be adding a lot of assets and stuff in the future. So look forward to that. And here we go. So, well, you're obviously supposed to walk in this direction, but realistically, sometimes it's more fun to walk the opposite way. Because one thing I wanted to do in this game is, like, right off the bat, you don't have to wait until you unlock a double jump or anything. You can just hop around anywhere. And the game gives you 1, 2 air dashes. So you can literally climb to the very top of town right off the bat. And yeah, you can just explore. Again, I know where we're supposed to be, but I'm just going to wander around a bit because it's more interesting that way. Oh yeah, another thing we need to do in the future is find a way to distinguish these creatures from one another, because right now all of the tanuki look the same. And I was imagining it kind of like you know, like how all of the toads in Mario games have like different colored heads and stuff like that? So we basically need little accessories to differentiate them. This was actually the first character that I wrote in the entire game. This thing is obviously going to annoy people, which is good. The game isn't strictly a Metroidvania, because like we don't have a lot of things that Metroidvanias have. One thing we do have, though, is collectibles that you cannot obtain right away. So you're looking at this, and it's like, how do I get in there? And the way that you get in there is really bizarre, trust me. Oh, let me just check one thing. I think the stream is, yeah, it's set to record. It's set to record just the game itself, which is good. Yeah, some of the fonts are kind of hard to read. That's kind of something that I did just because it seemed cool, and I was going to wait to see if people complain, and then I might change some things. I think in terms of like UX stuff in general, there are a lot of things that I kind of left in the game just as my first, like, I just kind of made it how I was thinking at the time, and then as we go through playtesting, then I'll probably polish up some of the annoying bits. Anyway, yes, we should get back to the actual quest now. Oh yeah, just in case people couldn't find the dash button, it's like impossible to get up here without pressing dash. So that forces you to acknowledge its existence. Font looks cool for the thoughtful tortoise. That, how did I make that? It wasn't really my own. I think it's actually some like runic font. Like those characters exist in Unicode, and it's intended for some actual like, I don't know, some European like runic language. And so I kind of took I took like certain letters from that and then made a custom list of characters that uses it. So there's this hole in the wall suspiciously here. Cool. Oh yeah, I forgot I put that Bitcoin thing there. What exists in the space between 0 and 1? Well, I can't provide too much plot commentary, otherwise I'll accidentally spoil things. Oh, I remember how long it took me to just make this little intro back in the day. So it's possible to read these text message conversations up there in the top right while you're playing, but you can also pause the game and do this. How long have we been working on this? That's a good question. Serious development has been 2 years, spring 2018. But then prior to that, I was kind of just fiddling with it part-time, in the process of teaching myself how to use Unity, basically. So yeah, the game has been around for a while, and I definitely want to finish it at this point. It'll be out sometime next year. Yeah, I was posting about this on Reddit the other day, and obviously people noticed the connection between this story and Your Name, the anime movie. And the whole phone swapping thing, I kind of like that part of the story I got from Your Name. But I started working on this technically before that movie even came out. So thematically, they've always been kind of similar. And the movie just kind of, I guess it solidified a lot of ideas in my mind. But the actual plot is like completely different, obviously, because this is told through a game, and you'll see, it's different. she would actually do that. Yeah. I like how he just casually offers you a roasted squirrel. Like it's the most normal thing. This fire is, I think, the first particle system that I ever made in Unity. It doesn't really fit everything else, but it's nostalgic. Well, that's not helpful. Yeah, there's so many things in the game that I take for granted because I've seen it 1,000 times. But I'm hoping that when people play this, they'd be like, oh, this slime speaks a foreign language. How do I deal with this? And obviously there is a way to deal with it, but you won't find that for quite a while. If only life were that easy. And this is also not helpful. Yeah, I have memories from like old Zelda games where you'd like see a heart piece in someone's house and they're just like standing there blocking it and you just don't know how to get behind there. Oh, cool. Someone who recognizes sepia tears. Hang on, there we go. So we still can't actually understand what these guys are saying, but he's clearly blocking the way. Well, this tunnel seems interesting. Oh, right, and this is what was happening as well. Yeah, so the first problem these two have to deal with is the whole live stream thing. Now, of course, if you think about it realistically, this situation doesn't really make sense, because it's like, I mean, yeah, physically it gets weird. But the whole idea is that the person she's talking to can like help with the quest, kind of like Navi in Ocarina of Time. So if he can see what you're doing, then you can ask for hints based on what room you're in, and it like makes sense in the plot. Yeah, we plan on changing some of the background art, actually most of it. It's a long story, but yeah, we basically are going to add a lot of stuff, and we probably will end up redoing a lot of stuff as well. Oh yeah, this is kind of what I was just saying about the Navi connection. Yeah, the character art is fantastic. People always comment on it, and I'm really happy with it. Yeah, we went through, like, I'm the lead developer, and we went through, like, several artists along the way. But now the team is really just 3 people. It's myself, we have one lead artist who's going to be doing everything, and one composer. So we do have to kind of keep the scope not too big, but it's a platformer, so it's not like the hardest thing to make. What was I doing? Okay, so we were trying to get past this slime that was blocking that path. And there's deliberately no hint in the game that really tells you what to do, so you kind of have to walk around town. She's a fun character to write. She's the main character of Chapter 3, so you won't really see much of her yet, but she's funny. It's like she literally could just do this. It's hard to imagine the logistics of picking up a slime. Oh yeah, that T sound effect is kind of long. Hold on. $50,000 words for a platformer, yeah. Perhaps the true purpose of this entire game was to just trick people into reading a visual novel. Well, of course, that's also including text that you're likely to not read. These little cutscenes are kind of just there to be cute, but they also serve some purposes. Oh yeah, and the caffeine is hitting. I'm not sure if speedrunners will play this game, but when you drink the black tea, the pitch of the music changes, obviously, but you also get 10% faster. So this is actually a high-level speedrunning technique. Okay, so we can't go this direction either. Yeah, speedrunners play everything. Yeah, so a lot of these conversations are kind of to help point you in the right direction, where it's at the back of your mind you might be thinking that there's a way to get through here right now. And the game is telling you you can't get through here right now, but in a more interesting way. What bugs are there for speedrunning? I wonder. The physics of the game are not actually super interesting because programming physics is kind of hard. So there's a hard cap for how fast the character can go. So I don't think there's going to be too many exploits. But honestly, if people find something, I'd be happy to see it. Also, I feel like... The screen feels kind of dark. I wonder if there is a bug. Yeah. I think the ambient light got bugged and it thought we were indoors or something. Anyway, that seems to be... Oh, there's one guy we should go talk to. Okay, not him. he's just going to play the harmonica. This is, again, something that you can't possibly get into. But there was something to climb that I missed. Here, that's what it was. Yeah, you can definitely dash like crazy in the game. That's another thing where, like, practically speaking, I wasn't too sure how to kind of fix that. Because the most efficient way to travel is to just mash the dash button, which is not exactly good design, but then the alternatives just made the game feel kind of slow. So I'll have to think about how to tweak that in the future. So Camellia didn't help us with the slimes. Maybe this guy can help us. Yeah, I was definitely thinking about dog residue when I wrote that. Yeah, the dog residue from Undertale. So I'm not sure how obvious it is what to do next, but yeah, seeing as we were just talking about like meat, barbecue, grilling, and then there was this conspicuously placed fire pit right here. So you put two and two together. And suddenly there's actually a purpose for the roast squirrel. Yeah, the items as well will probably be redrawn, but we'll see. Oh, I didn't need to do that. So we need to get this over to the bloodthirsty slime. But there's a catch, which you'll find out soon. Because the obvious thing to do is to take it here, and then you realize, hang on, we can't actually wall jump while we're carrying something. You also cannot dash while we're carrying something. So you can do that, and try to, like, headbutt it, but you really can't. But on the way back here, we have to take that underground path. So... oh wait, I forgot something. Yeah, so you kind of have to take it the long way. One thing I forgot was this and this. I don't know how obvious this icon is, because one person was confused by it before. But it's a tutorial prompt that tells you to use the right stick on the controller. Because you can actually pan the camera like that. And there's a coin. There are not too many situations in the game where you actually need to pan the camera, but I'm sure people will do it, maybe. So we went through this cave just now, and it didn't seem too complicated, but it's a bit more complicated when you have an item in your hands. Because, for example, we can't actually jump up here. We've got to throw it first and then go. This is also another mechanic where, like, I implemented it because it works, but not necessarily because it's fun. I don't know how fun people will find it because it can be kind of cumbersome. So I need to just watch people play the game. What did they mean by this? This is obviously one of those things where, like, you know it's going to be important, but you have no idea what to do yet. Gotta get it up here. And now here's another thing the player has to think about. Because you can fall down through these platforms, but the item can't. So now, and then the item can go through that hole, but but you can't. Do we have a price point in mind? Honestly, I'm not sure yet. I could hypothesize, but it's usually not a good idea to do that because someone will remember that I hypothesized and like hold me to that, so I'd rather not say anything. I mean, it won't be super expensive, obviously. It's still an indie game. So there's another cave, but we have no idea how to go there. Oh, this is going to be a little annoying. Because you can put the food in there, which is cool and all, but we just lost the squirrel that we needed to give to the slime, so we're going to have to bring another one back. But we gain access to this little side quest area. And this is a fun but very simple mini game. You have to dash through the circles, the rings, and it's timed, but the first one is like really simple. The second one is more complicated, and these will actually be hooked up to Steam leaderboards. The animation when you get a data ship is really cool. Okay, so I'm gonna have to reclaim that squirrel. I guess I should address this thing that I keep walking over, because I know that it's not breakable. But yeah, people will try to break it, and there is a way, but it's more complicated. Oh yeah, I should put something in the game to make it more obvious what the data chips actually do, because you're supposed to like read them when you get them, but the game doesn't really tell you to do that. Because the first one that you get was this God of Binary one, which we looked at. The second one, I guess, was the fourth data chip. And the story behind the chips is, I can't say anything because I'll accidentally spoil something. Because there's like several parallel stories going on in the game. It's very complicated. I should also mention that Homestuck was an inspiration in terms of the characters that write in a funny way, and also in a general sense, like having internet communication being a big part of the game. That was a story that did that really well. And the coins also unlock something else later on. Yeah, you would kind of expect you'd be able to beat up the slimes, but you can't. At some point, I perhaps should redesign this squirrel quest so that you don't have to do it twice. I knew that was going to happen. What's the hardest part of the game to make? Huh. That's a good question. Hang on, let me throw this first. Well, what is the hardest part? Marketing? I wonder. I think at first programming was the hardest because I didn't know how to program. I guess just game design in a very general sense. Like, because now that I have an idea of how to use Unity, I can design stuff that comes to mind, right? But then the first thing that comes to mind may not necessarily be fun. So, and game design is like this really abstract skill where like you can make a level 5 different ways and only one of them will be good. And it's kind of hard to get a feel for that. I think a lot of that comes from experience. This story is not the hardest part because I just write. Like, my default talent, I guess, was writing. So I enjoy dreaming up complicated stories. Loved by many, hated by few. It's an arrow pointing down. I wonder what you have to do here. This room might be bugged because I changed something and I think that made it impossible to do this. Oops. Actually, I think this is fine. Oh, not. You just have to like dash through it. But I changed the timing at which the hitbox for the lasers becomes active, and I think that caused it to become unbeatable. Let me see. So if it's off, and then, yeah, we can't actually dash through. So I'll go fix that later. Actually, no, that's already fixed on my copy. It just isn't updated yet. I believe that's the only bug in the demo, but we'll see. And yeah, we'll probably add some stuff to make this area feel different, like visually. Because right now, the only thing that's really different is the rain and the ambient light. One moment. Yeah, the music is great. Oh, was that the end? Yeah. I'm just kind of moving my windows around. Okay, I know what's coming next, and it's going to be annoying. Yeah, I do like the concept of making puzzles like part of the in-game universe. I think in Undertale that was pretty fun. I like this song a lot. We don't have too many opportunities to use it because it only comes up during cutscenes. So she just kind of tells you to write Fox in binary and doesn't tell you what to do. And I know some people will know what to do and just immediately look up like a binary to Unicode calculator. But most people will be confused, and that's fine. Because Clara is also supposed to be confused at this point. Wait, let me refresh something. Okay. Yeah, I kind of expect people will keep talking to her because she doesn't tell you what to do yet. So that saves you the trouble of pulling out your phone and Googling it. Then you have to figure out, how do we count to 102? See, I'm sure a lot of people did just want to push blocks, but no, life isn't that easy. So this is a long-winded explanation which nobody has to actually memorize. But it's just a matter of seeing how it works. Also, I have no idea if this diagram was clear or not. It's like a surprisingly hard thing to explain. But yeah, hopefully people are smart enough to figure out, like, yeah, 2 to the power of whatever is how it counts. So we wanted 102, and we know this is 128, so we don't want that. This is 64, and this would be 32. And this is where the math gets incredibly annoying, which you could do in your head, but I'm just going to pull out a calculator. I've tried to like solve this in my head before, and I've done it, but I really don't like mental math. So if we're at 96, and we add 16, is that a good thing? That would be too high. Now what if we did 96 plus 8? Hang on. Yeah, because that would still be too high. So we need to get to 102. So we need to do 96 plus 4. Yeah, it's it'd be 96 plus 4 to get 100, and then plus 2 to get 102. It is kind of unfortunate that the solution for this is like It's symmetrical, so it doesn't actually tell you which side is like the biggest number and which side is the smallest number. But the diagram explains that, so hopefully it's not too confusing. This part was fun because the first time I made it, someone just ran up ahead and never saved her. And that obviously introduced a bunch of bugs. So it's actually possible to just go on and scout it out. But if you actually do that, it'll just result in skipping content. So it's not really a good thing. Because you technically could just write O and then X here. But yeah, that'll mess things up. That didn't do anything. Okay, let's get her. Oh, wait. That did trigger a bug. Wait, what? Oh, okay. I'm locked on this side until I restart the game. This is like such an obscure bug because the cutscene triggers like when you enter that room. So even though I'm entering the room from the right side, it's like continuing to loop. It's hard to explain. I think I need to just reload and walk back in from the left side. Yeah, there's like so many obscure... I mean, this is why QA is important, right? There's so many obscure bugs that can happen. And it would never happen unless you, like... Unless you try to break the game, basically. And do things in a really weird order. So did that fix everything? Oh no. Oh no. I didn't think that would happen. Wait, now I need to think about this. This is the most obscure situation I've seen. Because is it possible to save her if she falls down there? I don't know if it is. Because what's going to happen is after I press a button, there's going to be a bridge that appears up here. And then she'll try to run across, but she'll be stuck at the bottom. Yeah. Yeah, this is like... Man. Yeah, it is the most boring part of being a programmer. The game will be around 10 hours, I think, but I'm not really sure. Yeah, okay, I don't think there's any... Oh, wait. I know. I think if I... Okay, this is going to look really janky, but if I progress this quest and then reload, I think she'll teleport to the next room, even though she's going to be physically stuck here, which is going to look incredibly dumb. This is like the most bizarre thing that's ever happened. Actually, no. Other people have found like weirder bugs in the past, but that was like a year ago. So now that we've gotten out of here, the game, I believe, thinks that we're on to room 3 and that we've finished room 2. So now when I go back here, there's a bug, but she should appear in room 3. We'll see. If that doesn't work, I'll have to like stop the stream and actually fix the save file. Yeah, you can see there are definitely reasons why the game is not more complicated than it is. Because once you start adding more and more factors, like programming-wise, it becomes so much more difficult. Oh no, this is this build is just this is the actual demo. For better or worse. Okay, good. So she teleported. So basically pretend that she didn't jump into the abyss and she just ran across that bridge instead. And that's just a reminder in case you didn't get it the first time. So we need O and X, and we don't know what to do. But if you look at the phone icon in the top right, that little question mark appears whenever it's possible to trigger a text message conversation. And sometimes that happens to help you through a puzzle, like in this situation. So again, people could speedrun it and just look it up on their phones, but there's usually an answer somewhere in the game. What is my computer's temperature right now? The fan is being loud. Wait, how do I get that again? It's probably fine. Okay, 111, 120. All right, let's do this manually again. So first, let's not get these blocks stuck, because that's obviously a problem. We usually would want 64 and 32. 96. What is 96 plus 16? That's 112, and we want 111, so we can't use the 16. We need that. 104. 108, 110, 111. I think that's correct. I don't even have this part memorized. And this other one was going to be 120. So again, we want to get up to 96. This time we can go to this. This time we can go to 112. And then probably just this one will be 120. But to be safe, I'm gonna like not get any of these blocks stuck. This should be 120. There we go. But wait, there's a plot twist. So now we're stuck. Like, I'm not actually a fan of traditional puzzle games with like all the block pushing and stuff. So that's why I wanted to just do something weird with it. And it's meta, but it's a certain kind of meta where like it's not actually breaking the fourth wall, but it's meta in the sense that like the puzzles exist within the game's universe. What happens if you don't bring Catherine with you? I think like when you solve it incorrectly, I don't think any dialogue happens, but it still like advances the game. Something like that. So we can make it to the roof. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Should I do this? I guess I should do this. There's a secret here, which is honestly not too well hidden. Yeah, I do like this suggestion about making this thing a bit taller, because what happens is you can jump over it, kind of like in Mario. And that's actually intentional, but I should make it a bit harder to jump over. And also because that would stop the items from getting stuck. Oh, and the camera obviously gets clamped sometimes, right? So here, you can't actually pan the camera upwards, but you can still go upwards. And the game has a lot of little hidden things like that, where you can just go into a place where the camera can't see. So I got a coin, and here's some mysterious room, which we can't get to yet. Okay, but what we were supposed to do is... What did she tell us to do? Any kind of background or history. So now it's like we're thinking more about the shrine's lore, right? And I'm hoping that people get kind of confused for a moment, try to walk around, think back to suspicious things, hint hint, that we may have seen on the way here, such as the graveyard. Oh, what's this? Right. Like, I always see people get lost here, but the graveyard was pretty suspicious. And there was this drawing of a fox and all that. That was like one of the first shaders I ever coded. It's nostalgic. Finally, they're speaking English. So that did something. You remember that from like GameFAQs forum signatures? Like, the line below is a lie. The line above is the truth. So, you can see something has changed, but on average, people aren't going to know what to do. Hold on. Yeah, GameFAQs is old now. If anything, I wonder if people have more familiarity with hex than with binary because of like hex editing and stuff. So we've got to write 111. Oh, let me reset these. And so it counts up to 0 to 16, and then when you hit 16, it loops around. But counting that manually is really annoying, so it's easier to go through her explanation. Right, then you're thinking in like sets of 16. So, if we want 111, how sets of 16 is that? So if 6 was the first letter... Oh yeah, this happens. If 6 was the first letter, then that'd be 96. And then... minus 96 would be 15. Is that correct? So the F would be 15? Yeah, okay, that was correct. Yeah, even I get confused when trying to do it by hand. She kind of gets stuck there, but yeah. Oh yeah, now here's some actual platforming, which surprisingly hasn't been an issue yet. Sometimes I wonder if the game should err more on the side of being like fast-paced or more puzzle-based, because there's a bit of both, and I haven't really gotten a chance to see how people react to it yet. So it's possible to walk, kind of like holding shift in a Toho game. And that's the easiest way to get through there. Huh. Well, we know we have to write X. Where is she? There she is. And she just jumps ahead and tells you the answer. So the way this room is laid out makes it obvious what to do. You just stand here and here. But there's only 3 of us. But remember that rock that was lying around? That might come in handy. So we've got to run back here, grab this, and run back. Yeah, I tried to pick a slightly different solution to each puzzle. Because again, like, actually counting in binary every time would be tedious. Doing like an ice slidey puzzle like in Pokemon would be pretty tedious. Let's just drop that there somewhere. There we go. And there's the treasure. I always get a chuckle out of this. So she straight up steals your treasure. And yeah, that's kind of a hint telling you, please don't leave this room, otherwise you'll have to backtrack. And this thing suspiciously makes noise every time you touch it, so... And now this finally brings us to that mysterious room we saw earlier. And now it's all glitchy, and what's happening? And what do earphones have to do with anything? There we go. So with these earphones, we'll be able to translate the creature's languages. First, we have to deal with this. By the way, it's possible to actually type on the keyboard. But if you just press up or down on a controller, it'll toggle through the options. You can't do that. But what you could do is unlock sewer. So if you do anything other than 1, it won't work here. And yeah, plot-wise, at this point, I'm hoping that people are thinking like just trying to figure out what's really going on, right? Because there's the obvious disconnect between the game's setting, like the shrine and stuff, and all of the modern technology. It actually does take a while to play this game. It's already been like an hour. My favorite thing about writing all of the text message convos is like keeping them consistent in terms of the way they type. Because Chameleonic specifically never uses capital letters. And Clara always starts her sentences with a capital. It's like a subtle difference, but people are like that in real life, right? Everyone has a certain like style guide in their head for how they type. And yeah, that's definitely a thought that would cross your mind, right? Like, are we living in a simulation? Like, what's going on here? There's some clear foreshadowing that like something weird is happening. And at least I can say like those are not endgame twists. Like, you figure out what's going on before the end of the game and the plot continues going from there. I feel like the music is leveled too low, but I can't tell because my computer fan is so loud. Yeah, like killing slimes is not really the most challenging thing in any game. You know, I feel like this would be an incredibly difficult game for a YouTuber to stream because it's hard to talk while paying attention to dialogue. Temples are always important. He's really afraid of those slimes. So that brings us through the first area, but that's not quite the end of the first chapter yet. Because as you might recall, we just unlocked the sewers, whatever that means. When I came... Oh yeah, we have this now. We have earphones. Kind of as a joke, I gave the earphones like the stereotypical like teenager headphone type of leveling, where when you wear the earphones, it just heavily boosts like the upper range and the lower range of the audio, and it lowers the mid range. So the music sounds more punchy, but also just weird. And that's kind of a subtle disincentive to stop you from just wearing it all the time. Because if you think kind of like the Lens of Truth from Zelda, like you can use it all the time, but it'll drain your mana, right? Except I'm not implementing anything like mana in this game, so I need some other way to stop people from just using the equipment nonstop. So that's useful. Oh yeah, this is Catherine's house. She should be back home now. Yeah. What's she doing with that blueprint? Okay, she's doing nothing. So we kind of have to progress the chapter before she'll tell us anything. Oh yeah, this portal into hell appeared out of nowhere. I feel like we'll probably change how these look eventually, but it is supposed to feel kind of weird, kind of creepy. And this is how you get into the sewers, which most likely is not what the player was expecting. Once again, we do need to work on the environment. I happen to know that we were supposed to go left, which is why I chose to go right. This is kind of challenging. It's actually easier than it looks, but for people who don't play bullet hell, it might be kind of hard. I don't know. You can crouch, by the way. Like, it looks really stressful, but you can stop and rest on platforms, so it's not as stressful as it looks. I don't think I explicitly explained this, but you can dash through the blue projectiles. Oh yeah, I didn't explain it because this was taught to you in room 2 of the shrine when the game glitched, so I didn't get a chance. And now we go full circle. That's how you get into this box-like thing we saw at the beginning. So technically, every layer of the sewers is like it's part of the town, technically. It's all one scene in Unity. So even when you're walking around underground, you can warp back to the surface at a different point, which can get really complicated. So what's this? Oh yeah, and now this is the thoughtful tortoise we were talking about at the very beginning of the stream. So this looks like absolute gibberish because right now it is gibberish. Now if we translate it, it still looks like gibberish, but it's readable. And this is the thing I was saying that was based on some kind of runic font. That's not helpful at all. So that was very eerie, but it didn't tell us what's happening. Oh yeah, this is kind of to justify the weird font. Because in a game with no voice acting, the text kind of expresses the character's voice, right? Will the story go dark? That's a good question. It goes serious. I don't want to say how dark, but I can say in a general sense it goes more serious. But it's not gonna be like the old Swaparoo where it becomes a horror story or something. The tone doesn't change that much. Aren't there always turtles in sewers? Did cartoons lie to me? I hope it doesn't bug. Okay, good. I just casually walked into the boss door. Oh man, I guess I should play on hard. Once more, this area needs more assets. Clara altar, yeah. As a side note, we were talking about what did the collectibles do, right? So the chips obviously let you read the data chips, and the coins eventually will let you buy these accessories. Because if we went through the trouble of drawing a witch's hat for Clara's sprite, we're obviously going to let you use it. So now the story starts going meta, and we still don't know what's going on, but we have to fight first. I mean, the game doesn't have a punch button, but I think it should be obvious that you kind of have to dash into the boss, because that's how you destroy oops. That's how you destroy the blocks and stuff. And yeah, it's actually possible to dash through these bullets, but it's kind of not worth it. And this here is my interpretation of the spell card system from Toho, which is, it's based on a timer. So you can kind of see the timer ticking around the boss's body, that like circular thing. And so you have to wait for the spell card to time out, and then that barrier goes away, and then you can hit her. And if you mess up, like I just did, then you fail the spell card and you have to try again. So it can be somewhat difficult, but the idea was to just prevent cheesing, because that's like the most annoying thing about these games. So once the game gets playtested more, I would, like, there are probably situations where I might tone down the difficulty, but just knowing that people can't cheese it, because that's more important to me. It's possible to be impatient there, but you shouldn't. It's just not worth it. That's tricky. We're looking at self-publishing, which is rather challenging. but publishers apparently can take up to like 40% of the of the profit, so that's pretty significant. We'll see how it goes, though. I'm not like against getting a publisher. It just really depends on if there's a strong enough benefit to us. Marketing is definitely one of the hardest things about game dev. But I think once we get more art in, and I just like post more GIFs to Imgur and stuff, and to Reddit, that'll help. And of course for you guys, like the people that are watching... I died. For the people that are watching, if you know anyone who... I'm going to play on easy. If you know anyone who's interested in these types of games, definitely let them know. And if anyone is interested in playtesting or like getting a beta key or something like that, we'll open it up at some point in the future. Because the only like public free part of the game will be chapter 1, what I'm doing right now. But yeah, sooner or later we'll get other people to playtest the subsequent chapters. Now let me try to pay more attention here so I don't die. Easy is a lot easier than hard. Like significantly. I need to kind of change that one so that there's a way of knowing where the laser will appear instead of just having to guess. I've always kind of struggled with the art for the projectiles because it's hard to make it fit everything else. Like we might end up hand drawing some effects in the end. It's really hard to say. This pattern is like not actually hard, but it's kind of tricky. Trust me, bullet hell design is so difficult. Because this can be a game in itself, right? You can make an entire game just based around bullet patterns. So as someone who is not making an entire game based around bullet patterns, it's kind of hard to compete with the more complicated games. So I really need to just keep it simple when it comes to boss battles. Like I'm not going to be able to come up with the next Toho or something. Oh, that sentence got cut off. Shockingly, this track right now is stock music. It's so nice. It's another terminal. Yeah, there's so much foreshadowing in so many different directions in the plot. That's kind of a reminder that you should be checking the data chips. When she says she hasn't even looked at it yet. Coming up with fictional internet handles is pretty interesting. Fictional names are easy because you can just look up like a baby name thing. And that's officially the end of the demo. And this kind of just tells you to please like and subscribe and all that stuff. I could stop playing now. I'm trying to think if I skipped anything interesting. Oh, the one thing I skipped was reading this. So the God of Binary is still here and still watching. And yeah, most of the data chips have some kind of some kind of gimmick to them in terms of how the text appears. So this one, obviously, the text fades away as you read it, which thematically fits what he's talking about. Oh, and also each one triggers a conversation about it. And yeah, I think I'll wrap things up now. It's been an hour and a half. Wow. So in terms of the length of the overall game, yeah, I'm guessing it's going to be around 2-ish hours per chapter. So 2, 4, 6, 8. But then there's also extra time for like backtracking and collecting stuff. So I'm estimating 10 hours. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I believe I was recording all of this, so I'm going to see if I can put it on YouTube later. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you're interested, just follow us basically anywhere, Twitter, Discord, or just give us a wish list on Steam. So yeah, I will talk to you later.